Hi, and welcome to Art with Mrs. Torres. Today we are going to be doing a project about a bird. I am a big bird lover. My name is Robin. That's my first name, and Robin is the type of bird. In my yard, I have a lot of different kinds of feeders, and one of the birds that comes to my yard a lot is a blue jay or a scrub jay, and he is a beautiful, magnificent blue color. So that's the inspiration for my bird, but you can make your bird any color you'd like. So in some of the pictures, we will be doing a fall theme, and these leaves have been falling from the trees. But here in Southern California, it is 85 to 90 degrees. It doesn't feel like fall, but nature knows it's fall, and the leaves are starting to change and fall around my yard. So let's get ready to do our art project. I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Welcome back. All right, you have gathered up some paper, pencil, eraser, and some crayons. Now, I put my crayons in a little cup when I'm working, but you can also just leave them in the box, whichever works better for you. Now, I have some jumbo crayons here that I'm going to experiment with today, as well as just my regular crayons, and they both work great. So whatever you have laying around the house is going to work wonderful. Make sure that you have extra paper so you have a little cushion when you're working. And let's begin. We're going to be placing our paper vertical today, which is tall like a door. We are going to be taking our pencil first to draw. And remember, the lighter that you draw, the easier it's going to be to erase when it's time to erase our pencil lines. We're going to find our center of our paper by using our finger and making a little dot right where the center is. And then we're going to begin by forming the shape of the beak of our little bird. So if you look at this shape, it kind of looks like an upside down triangle. To me, when I look at that, it looks like a Dorito chip. Do you know what a Dorito chip is? All right, let's begin. So here's our pencil dot right here. We're going to go above that. We're going to make a long curve like this, slight curve. Now, this is going to be the top of the beak of our bird. I want it to be at least 2 of your fingers wide. You want this beak pretty big, so at least 2 fingers wide. And then we're going to come down and form the letter V underneath it. This is going to form that upside down triangle shape. Now, once we have that, we can erase the dot in the middle of our paper. We don't need it anymore. Now we have our beak for our bird, our silly little bird. Now I want you to notice the shape of the eyes of my bird. They are either a circle or an oval, depending upon what shape you want to make. Now, do you notice how large they are? We want to make really huge eyes. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the center of my beak right here up at the top and make a little dot. And I'm going to create 2 really big circles around his eyes. I'm going to go up like this, really tall. I'm going to curve it around and bring it back to the beak. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to go right up the same line that I did before in the center. I'm going to try to make it about the same height as the other one. I'm going to curve it around. And bring it back to the beak. Now, as I'm doing this, you'll notice I make a couple lines before I decide which one I like the best. So you'll see that I kind of experiment and practice. And then once I'm happy with the lines that I made, I can always go back and erase the ones I don't want to keep. Now here is where I'm going to put his eyeballs a little bit later. First, I want to create the rest of my silly little bird. So look right here. Underneath my bird, this is where I'm going to create his body. You can see what shape that's going to be. I'm just going to be making a circle, a big round circle, but I'm just going to make half of the circle. The other half would be behind his eyes. So I'm going to take my paper now, and I'm going to make a pretty chubby bird. So I'm going to start over on this side. I'm going to match it on this side. And then I'm just going to start to create a big round tummy on my bird. I'm just moving my pencil back and forth until I'm happy with the shape. And the next thing I'm going to create are his wings on the side. So you can see I'm just going to make a little curved line that comes out and slightly in. I'm not going to make his wings very long. I'm going to kind of give him short wings. I'm going to come right over here. Just give him a little short wing on this side. And a little short wing on this side. They kind of look like a leaf. All right, now I'm going to go up to the top of his head. So I want to give him some silly feathers up at the top of his head. So I'm going to start by making one loop right up here at the top of his head. And then I'm going to place a loop on the side. A loop on the other side. So you notice the loops on the side are a little bit smaller than the loops at the top. I'm going to make one more right here. One more right here. All right, our bird is almost done. The next thing is to give him some bumps around the bottom. So his bottom looks kind of fluffy. I'm just curving around that circle like this. All right, now let's give him some legs. Now I don't have a lot of room at the bottom of my paper. I'm just going to give him two short little legs. And at the very bottom of the paper, this is where I want to make kind of a wavy line that's going to turn into leaves on the ground later. Okay, now once I have all of my bird drawn, the last part is to make sure I'm going to create his eyes where I want his eyes to be. So you could make your bird looking up like this at maybe a leaf that's falling down from the sky. Or you could have him looking straight ahead like this, or you could place his eyes right in the middle of the eyeballs. It's up to you where you want him to be looking. So the last time I drew him, I had him looking straight ahead. So this time, I think I'm going to have him looking up. Maybe I'm going to have a leaf floating right by his head. Now to make his eyeballs, I'm just going to make a circle like this. This is going to be his big black pupil, but I want to make it really big. And the reason I want to make it big is that I'm going to be coloring it with our crayons, and our crayons are kind of thick on the ends. Okay, now this is really all we need to draw for our drawing with our pencil. Our leaves are going to be really simple to draw, so we're going to wait and use our crayons for that. Okay, now we're going to come in with our eraser and erase any lines that we don't want to keep. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to rest my hand on my paper like this, and I'm going to erase in this section right here of my hand. I call this the duck's mouth. I'm coming in and erasing all the lines that I was practicing with when I first began that now I don't need anymore. So right here, there's all these little circle lines. Before I drew those bumps, I started with a circle at the bottom. And now I'm going to go in and erase those lines because I don't need those anymore. I'm going to erase a little bit of this side of his body here, right up where his shoulder would be. And now I think I'm ready to use my crayons. All right, I put my crayons in a little cup. Now, if you didn't put your crayons in a cup and you just have them in your box, the color we're going to look for first is yellow. So look for your yellow crayon. Now, you might have a golden yellow, or maybe you have more of a lemon yellow. Either one will work fine. And we're going to start to color our beak yellow. So this is my lemon yellow, but I also have this pretty golden yellow. So I think I'm going to mix the two colors together. If you only have one yellow in your box, whatever you have is great. Now another color that looks really nice on the beak is orange. Now I have this color, it's a yellowy orange, and then I have a darker orange in my cup. So I'm going to try this lighter orange first. Now, whenever you're happy with the color of your beak, the next thing we're going to work on is using these colors to draw some leaves. So I'm going to start with the orange, and I'm going to make a football shape up here in the sky. So I'm just going to start by making a curve like this, kind of like I'm making the letter C, but like a long C. And then I'm going to match it on the other side to make kind of like a football shape. And then I'm going to color it in. Now what I'd like you to do is every time you make a leaf with one of the colors that we're working with, I want you to make more than one. So try making one on one side of the paper and then one on the other side of the paper. And then while I have this color in my hand, I'm going to scribble scrabble this color down here at the bottom of my paper in a few spots, going in different directions. All right, now I'm going to put that color back in my cup, and I'm going to now use my yellow, one of the yellows, and I'm going to make another leaf somewhere. Making my football shape, coloring it in, making another football shape on the other side of the paper, and then whatever color I have in my hand from my leaves, I'm going to scribble scrabble down at the bottom. I'm going to put that yellow back in my cup. I don't need that one anymore. Now the next color I'm going to look for is red. So in my cup, I've got a dark, regular, bright red, and then there's another kind of red that sometimes you might find, which is like a red-orange color. This is a really pretty color. Or you might have a red that has a little bit of purple in it. So I'm going to go over and make a couple red leaves. And remember, if I make one on one side, I have to find a place to do one on the other side. I'm going to make this one kind of peeking off the side of the paper here. Okay, and then remember, whatever color we use at the top, we're going to scribble scrabble down at the bottom. Just in a few random places. Sometimes in the fall, when the leaves are falling, you'll notice that some of the red leaves also have purple in them. So I think a purple leaf would be really pretty. So I'm going to use a purple I have in my cup. If you don't have purple, that's okay. You could also mix red and blue together, and it will make a shade of purple. It won't look quite like the same purple that comes out of a crayon, but you can experiment. Also, if you have pink in your cup, you can mix pink and blue together, and that makes a really beautiful purple. All right, I'm going to take that color and scribble scrabble it down at the bottom. Now for our last color, we're going to decide what color we want our bird to be. So I made my bird blue in my first picture. I kind of like blue birds. I think they're beautiful. You could also make a brown bird if you wanted to, or make a rainbow bird. It's up to you. I think I'm going to stick with my blue color. I really like blue. It's my favorite color. And the first thing I'm going to do is outline my feathers up on the top of my bird's head. And I'm going to outline his wings. And I'm going to outline his body. I made him these bumpy feathers around his tummy. And then I'm going to bring it right up here to the side. And then to help me when I'm coloring, not to get blue inside of his big white eyes or his beak, I'm going to outline the bottom section of his eye and the bottom section of his beak. Now, once I have everything outlined, I'm going to go over those outlines. If any of them are light, and just darken them. And it's time now to color it in. Oh, I'm going to also outline the top of his eye. Do you see right here where the top of his eye is? That's going to help me make sure that when I'm coloring, I stay right in that little space. It's like we're kind of creating our own little coloring book. So go ahead and fill in the top feathers with whatever color you decided to make your bird. And once you know how to do this, it will be really fun to create another picture and make your bird a different color. Now this time I'm experimenting with a different shade of blue than the last time. This blue is more of a sky blue. It's called cerulean. It has a little bit different color than the blue that I used the last time. Now you could make your wings one color, and you could make the body a different color if you'd like to. So something you may not know about me is my name is Robin, and robin is a type of bird. So we get robins in our yard, and they are brown on their body and on their back, their wings. But their chest, this part right up here, is kind of an orangey red. So if I was going to make a robin bird, I would color my bird brown, and then right around here, I might draw a little half circle and color the chest orange or red. I like to get up really early. I feed the birds in my yard. I am a big bird lover. So in the morning when I wake up, I first get dressed and then I come outside and I would get a bag of peanuts. I have a bag of peanuts that doesn't have any salt on it. And I get my bird seed out. I have some sunflower seeds that are not the kind that you would eat if you went to like a baseball game. The sunflower seeds I buy don't have any salt in them. So I get my sunflower seeds and then my bird seed and then my peanuts. And I come out every morning before I start my day and I feed the birds. So what I do is I have some plates or trays that I put bird seed in that's low on the ground, and that are for the birds that like to be close to the ground where they feel safe. And those are the mourning doves. I have mourning doves that come to my yard. And then I hear this very loud squawking in the morning. And these are birds where I live in Southern California. We have something called a scrub jay. Sometimes people call them blue jays, but where I live, they're actually called scrub jays. And the scrub jays are the ones that love the peanuts. So if I am late bringing out the peanuts, it's almost like they're calling me. They're out there squawking in the trees, and they're pretty tame. They don't seem to be afraid of me when I come outside. They just wait on the branch, and then they'll come and take the peanuts. But the funny thing about the scrub jays is that they don't eat the peanuts right away. They fly away and they hide them. So they might stick them in a little hole in a tree somewhere, or they might stick them in the bushes. But what is interesting about that is that I'll come out later and I might find a plant growing, and the plant is actually the peanut. The peanut has grown in the ground because they've dropped off the peanut, but they forgot to go back and eat it. So then all of a sudden it forms into a little peanut plant. Okay, I finished coloring my bird. My final part is to go in and start doing the detail work. Now, I love doing the detail work because look what happens when we add the black. So the black is the color that's going to make everything pop. So what you're going to notice is that in some of my leaves, I had a little fun and I experimented using more than one color on my leaf. So if you have the time to do that, it would be fun to go in and maybe add a little red to the tips of some of your yellow leaves, or to the tips of some of your orange leaves. You could even take the red and color over the orange and make a brand new color, a red-orange. That looks pretty. You could also take purple and color the purple over one of the colors that you did. So I could put a little purple over the red right here at the end. If you have brown, you could add some brown. I have a little brown in my cup, so I can add a little brown to some of the leaves. When the leaves change color, these are all the colors that I see on the different leaves that are in our neighborhood. Oh, and don't forget, whatever color we use up on our leaves, we gotta scrabble down in the bottom. Okay, so now it's time for us to go in and do our detail work with a black crayon. So this is my jumbo crayon. Look at how big this crayon is. I found these in my cupboard and I thought, ooh, this is an awesome crayon for outlining, but you also could use this crayon, your regular black crayon. If you don't have a black crayon, you could use a black colored pencil also. So the first thing we're going to do is I like to start not the eyes. You'd think I'd want to do the eyes first, but I kind of like to wait and do those later. So I'm going to start by just tracing over the shoulders and the outside of the wings. Now, if you go over it one time like this, you're going to have a really skinny outline. So let me show you. And this looks fine. But if you go back over it a second time and make the outline a little darker, it really helps to show up a little better on that paper. See how that stands out a little bit more compared to the skinny line? So I'm going to let you decide what style you are going to outline your picture because this is your artwork. I want it to look like you drew it, not like Mrs. Torres drew it. Now, whenever you are done outlining the outside of your bird, then we're going to go in and outline right here the side of his tummy and his chest. And then you might remember we outlined the bottom of the eye here with our blue, so hopefully we didn't get too much blue crayon in his eye. And now what we're going to do is we're going to outline his eyes. We're going to come right here at the top of his beak. I'm going to start by just doing the line right here in the middle. That's where we began. I'm going to go up over the eye. Sometimes when I'm holding my crayons, if I'm pushing too hard, my crayons break in half. I bet that might have happened to you before too. And if that ever happens and you break your crayon, you can't really put them back together. I've tried taping them and it just doesn't work. So what I do is I just save those crayons. I can peel the wrapper off and I can use the side of the crayon if I'm coloring. So if I broke the crayon and I took the paper off and I used the crayon without the wrapper on it, I would have been able to color this really fast with the side of the crayon. And if you broke the crayon off and it's this half and it still has a point on it, you can still hold the crayon there and use it the old way. So don't ever throw those broken crayons away, okay? You don't need to use a brand new crayon. You can use whatever you have in your house. When I'm all done outlining the eyes, I'm going to go around and outline the beak. Kind of looks like a tortilla chip, doesn't it? I told you a Dorito chip when we first started. Now it's time to do my eyes. Now I want to show you before I color my eyes in. So the first thing you want to do is you want to outline the eye with your black crayon. So I'm going to go right here and outline my eye first. You'll notice I made my eyes really big. And that is because I like to color my eyes with a little shiny light at the top. So do you see that little shiny light? And the way I do that is I just go right up here at the top and I make a big loop. See, I'm making kind of like the letter U. So I'm going U. I'm not making a circle because the top of the circle is already done for me at the very top of his eye. And then once I make the letter U, I'm not going to color the top in. I'm going to color just the bottom. Now sometimes when I'm doing this, it might fill in all the way and I don't have room to put the white highlight. And that is okay. If you colored your eyes all solid black, that would be just adorable. Now I'm going to outline the top of his feathers. Going over my lines more than once because that was what I decided. I wanted a little bit thicker line. If you decide to go one time, that's okay too. And the last part are his legs. Now we can't see his feet because he is standing in the leaves. All of these are going to be the leaves underneath him. So you could actually go in now and draw the leaves, each one individually, just like how we did up here with those football shapes. Or you could just go in like this and just kind of outline this bumpy shape across the bottom. Now it's time to decide what you want to do with your leaves. So what I do is I like to outline them. You don't have to. I first start with the football shape. And then I'm going to add a little stem. Now I'm going to make that stem kind of slightly curved. And then right through the middle, I'm going to add a line like this. Now each time I draw a leaf, in the outline, I don't want all the leaves to be falling in the same direction. So like this one, I might make the stem going the opposite way. I am going to be adding something called gesture lines at the very end. And if you see those lines, that's just a little 2 or 1 line that you put next to the leaves, and it kind of makes them look like they're moving. Now, since our picture is flat on the table, it's really not moving. So this is a way, you go like this, to make a leaf look like it's actually moving. Or let's say you were drawing a dog and you wanted his tail to look like it's wagging. You would draw those gesture lines, just like I just did right here, and it would look like the dog is wagging his tail. When you're finished outlining all of your leaves and adding the stems, then I want you to go over any lines that are still light and maybe sign your name at the bottom. Now, you know what? Since I don't get to see your face and I don't get to see your artwork, I would love it if you would send me a picture of your artwork. You can send me a picture by asking your parents to take a picture, maybe with their phone, and you can send it to my email. And my email is rtorres at, that's the at symbol, lcusd.net. So send me a picture of your artwork and I would love to see it. And if you do email me a picture, I promise to email you back. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you on our next lesson. Bye-bye.